All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Talk About It live with Frank and Manny. Taco Tuesday on a Thursday. How you doing there, Frank? Good morning, brother.
Good, bro.
We got a special edition this morning because we're going to be welcoming a special guest here today, Sheena Rodriguez. She's going to be joining us here momentarily as we come together this morning to do our introductions and whatnot. And so it's a wonderful time to be alive. We got a lot going on, but I'll tell you, man, even within the since Tuesday, there's still been quite a bit going on in regards to the border, and upcoming elections and what's going on all around the world as well. A lot of big news going on, coming out of Shanghai as well as people are cracking down. The government's cracking down on their citizens over there. And then big news, the other day, I guess, or yesterday or day before, they started lifting mandates on airlines in regards to masks. I don't know if you've seen the videos, man.
Yeah.
People cheering, and I don't know. I mean, it's good, but at the same time, these were the same people that were trying to they were kicking people off planes and all that other stuff. It's incredible what's happening.
I think folks are just look. There's a report that just came out, Manny. It says we're talking about the vax, where doctors are telling their student athletes, if you've been vaxxed, we're not gonna. You can't get tested here. Every sports season,
Yeah.
they got to go get that physical to get cleared up.
Right.
So and they talk specifically about these drop dead incidents that have taken place with sports, athletes out there just boom.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
dropping
because
dead, bro.
there's quite a bit of people that are having physical problems, right? Heart issues and whatnot. And so, man, Frank, I don't know, brother. It's just things
Well,
that are.
I think people are tired, man. Look, Easter weekend, I was out visiting with fellow Texans out here at San Felipe Creek. A beautiful time, and it was the celebration of our Lord's resurrection, and of course every hope, every promise, everything that means for us, for humanity. But anyways, people were glad to be out and about, bro.
Oh yeah, yeah,
People want to go to those music festivals. They want to go picnicking. They want to have these celebrations. They want to, and it was a great time. Just Texans pitching tents right next to each other. Some, family groups, but sometimes just making new friends.
yeah,
Because I think there's that sense of, look, let's move on with life. Disease has always been a part of us, and I think folks have awakened to a lot of the behind the scenes, dark and shadowy aspect of what's going on
yeah. You
right
say
now.
you say dark and shadowy. We're talking yesterday, and it's amazing to me that some of these things that I think we can were considered conspiracy theories. Just a couple of years ago now are like true. You know what I mean. That things are happening, things are coming to pass that we never thought would happen before, especially in this country. And I'm praying and I'm hoping that people have awakened, Frank. To all of what's happening, and will put the right people in office.
Yeah.
These next upcoming elections because
Well, man, don't get me started on that, brother, because slim pickings for
yeah,
Texans.
yeah,
Because unfortunately, establishment freaking sellout swamp dwellers once again managed to get into office one way or another through whether it was a tsunami of money, special interest group involvement, and other stuff in the elections offices,
yeah,
county clerk offices. Yeah, slim pickings,
yeah.
and once again, crack the whip, get in line, pinch your nose, vote for the lesser of two evils, which
Yep.
is always just going to be
Yep.
evil.
Yeah, it's still going to be evil, no matter which way you put it. So we're gonna, with that being said, we're gonna welcome our special guest this morning, Sheena Rodriguez. We got you on camera now. There, Sheena, how you doing
Hey,
this morning?
Sheena, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys so much.
And you're all the way in Arlington, Dallas area.
Yeah, the DFW area right here, not too far from the international airport. So, yeah.
Awesome, but you're still in the great state of Texas, man.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, and hopefully it remains great, right? I mean, with all that's happening and all the these elections coming up and the gubernatorial elections and what's happening here on the border, right? Because it's affecting you all, even though you're 6.5 hours, 7 hours away from us, but still, it's affecting you all up there, right?
Absolutely. Especially actually, I'm in Tarrant County, and one of the things that I'm sure the few people that do follow me here in my area hear me say over and over and over again, and I don't have updated numbers because conveniently, HHS hasn't released updated numbers. But we have over 3,000 unaccompanied minors that have been
Wow.
sent to Tarrant County alone, and we're on the lighter end. Dallas, right next to me. I am right here on the border between Tarrant and Dallas County. Dallas has far more than that. Second only to Houston, actually. So the Metroplex areas, whether people want to or realize it or not, we're getting hit hard in the DFW area in particular. We've also been number one in the state of Texas for where the Afghan refugees have been sent
Yeah.
to, and several of the other refugees have been sent to. So again, it's just easier to hide in plain
Yeah.
sight.
And I think people kind of forgot about the Afghan refugees,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I mean, we still got people coming in. The Biden administration has also has also invited Russians, right? Russian displaced Russians, Russian refugees, Ukrainian refugees. A lot of people coming into the country, and yet, but at the same time, there's no border policy enforcement that's happening. I mean, zero enforcement.
Since we're talking about that, Sheena, real quick, guys, have you all heard about what the Prime Minister over the pond is doing?
No.
He's getting people, rounding them up, and sending them. He made some kind of a deal with an African nation, so illegal aliens in his country are being sent to that African nation. Here's a contract. Here's a contract.
Wow.
Wow.
You deal with them. So, anyways, it's kind of
And
interesting.
yet, over here, it's they're just come on in.
Yeah, well, with a semblance, right, Sheena? You look. We know the work that you've been doing. You're out there coming. You live in the Dallas area, but you come to the border a lot, and you've come to our area and been to other parts, but Del Rio, Eagle Pass, Brackettville. You've been on the ground and at the forefront. Involved with, officials, elected officials, and others, interested people and groups, uh, uh, to address the border invasion issue. And one of the key things you're doing is legislative engagement, right? You're engaging with our elected officials, meeting with their staff, chiefs of staffs, and when their schedule allows, with the actual reps, senators, et cetera. So can you tell us a little bit
Yeah, so
about that?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the main reasons why I have been going down to the border, and I've been everywhere so far, from where y'all are at in the Del Rio sector down to the RGV, in between Laredo, a few different locations in between. And next week I'll be going to El Paso, so I would have officially have been from one side of our great Texas border to the other, which is that's an accomplishment
Oh yeah.
for me, anyways, living in North Texas. For those who are watching that don't understand the landscape of Texas, it's huge. Like we, it really is. So, anyways, but yeah, and that's what I started seeing last year. Because even before my involvement with the border, I started going as a citizen advocate to Austin, and I've been advocating for conservative values. I testified a lot. I really just started getting involved, and I felt really in my realm there in Austin, believe it or not. Um, that's definitely my thing to do, where I feel most comfortable. But anyways, and I started seeing the huge disconnect from what was happening actually at the border where you guys are at. Um, and then in Austin, and even people's understanding in the Metroplex area, even though we are being directly impacted, it's being brought to us and has been this entire time. So yeah, I collected, all the border awareness events that really you guys started, right down there in Carizo Springs, the border awareness events. Um, Down there collecting the letters, and then I walked into every single GOP senator and representative in the state of Texas, and numerous Democrat offices. Very colorful experience at times. Um,
So
but I mean, I
not to
don't care.
interrupt you real quick, but the organization you're with, or the program that you have, is called Secure the Border, right?
Yeah, yes. So I wanted something official, like,
Yeah.
to kind of put a name to it. And, that's what I'm doing. So I'm in the process of hopefully filing as a 501c4 soon. It's just been a little chaotic over the last 2 weeks, but hopefully I will get that done, because long term, my goal is to secure the border, the sovereign state, border
Right.
here in Texas as much as possible. There's a lot that can be done, and that's what I've been focusing on. And so I take these letters, and that's what I was doing, testifying, and trying to work with legislators during the regular session and every special session. If I was down there at the border, I was in Austin, and I built some relationships with some people. Of course, my own representative, Representative Jeff Kaysen. Um, he's amazing, and he's been a champion. And unfortunately, because of our own party, he was redistricted out.
Wow.
So he
Jeez.
won't be back. And
Wow.
but he's fighting on a different in a different way moving forward. But he's still here for now. Representative Slayton, if you guys remember, Slayton was down there for a lot of these border, and
Yep.
he's from East Texas.
Yep.
He's not too far from where I'm at in the Tyler area. So, and several other representatives and a few senators. Right now, last week, I had a meeting with the chief of staff for Senator Hall, and just 2 days ago with Senator Birdwell, who is now my new senator with redistricting.
And
So,
just real quick, Sheena, I mean, we praise the Lord for all the things that you're doing over there in Dallas and in that area, and then for the great state of Texas. But it also, of course, what you're doing is going to eventually impact America as well, because what happens in Texas, doesn't stay in Texas, as Frank always says, and it goes beyond our borders here, state borders anyway. But I mean, you really, for those of you of our audience who don't know you, I mean, you didn't work for, like me and Frank. You weren't former border patrol, right? You didn't work for DHS or CBP or any government entity really, per se. You just wanted to do something, right? A citizen who got sick and tired of what's happening. Yeah.
yeah, I am just a homeschooling mom. Like, there is nothing special about no real connection. Even my husband, who's a first generation Mexican American, he's born and raised here in Dallas. So I can't even say that I have a family that was even in the Border Patrol or anything. I don't. What really just happened was I am that type of person. I've never really trusted the media. And so early last year, when things right after Biden was installed, I went to
That's a good way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or plugged in. They kind of wind up the winder behind his back there.
yeah, I'm not very politically correct. So so right after he was installed, I went down there to Laredo, and it was the most impactful situation. I had never been to the border prior to that. I'd never been further south than San Antonio. And again, for those who really don't know the landscape, I live in North Texas in the DFW area. Just to go to San Antonio is about a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not that inconceivable for other fellow Texans.
Well, if you live in Dallas,
who
if you live in Dallas, it takes an hour to get to Dallis from Dallas, right? I mean,
yes, I literally could be driving an hour and still be in Tarrant County and have barely made it from Fort Worth to where I live.
Oh, yeah.
It's just to
Yeah.
put things into. But yeah, so when I first got there, I was so nervous, so scared, didn't know what to expect. And the moment that I got out, it was around midnight. Actually, by the time we got there, I saw a group of young men to one Border Patrol agent there in Laredo. And this agent didn't know me at all, didn't know our group, nothing. He turns around and he looks at me and us and he says, "I need help. We're being invaded." And I
Wow.
was so, all that fear that I had going down there, because I didn't know what to expect, it melted away. And what I saw instantly, I literally just started crying. I mean, this is not just me being an emotional female. I started crying tears of anger because what I saw in front of me was my children's future disappearing.
Yeah.
And it angered me and infuriated me. And what I saw, I spent 2 days out there, stayed out there till 4 a.m. in the morning with a flashlight, helping this one agent push back with just lighting it up. I mean, and he was just so thankful that we were there and that I saw the broken down, torn down, inoperable, oh gosh, the camera towers.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is I mean, it was so eye opening. And from that moment on, I had not stopped going. So, and I learned a lot along the way, got connected with people like yourselves. And I really truly believe that until I actually had another agent from the RGB area tell me a while back, he said, until the mothers of this country realize that this situation is the number one threat to their families, it is not going to change. Nothing's going to change. And I said, okay, so now I've got my mission accepted.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
I can tell you, I really, we truly appreciate what you're doing. Frank and I, try really, really hard to bring awareness, not only to our local community here in Del Rio, Texas, but to the rest of the state, the rest of the nation. But when you're here, in our little community, it's amazing to us that even within Del Rio, right up next to the border, and the surrounding communities, a lot of people don't realize what is happening. And you're 7 hours away, and I've talked to people in San Antonio, I've talked to people in Uvalde, I've talked to people, from Dallas as well, that have no clue what's happening. I know you experienced that as well, yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh, some people willfully, look, life's going on, kids, work, relationships, etc. But Sheena, you said something that kind of, you talked about the first visit, and you said that you knew this would impact your children's future. Can you kind of, expound on that? Here, here you are, a homeschooling mom, uh, you know, a wife, a parent. So what do you mean by that in your mind as you saw that happening? Your children's future would never be the same, and even in more darker terms. Well, what did you mean?
Yeah. So, what I saw, number one, I have two teenagers. I have a teenage daughter and a teenage son.
Well, I'll pray
My
for
son
you.
is
I'm
17.
praying for you.
Yes, please, please. Yeah, but my son is 17. Next year he will be a senior. My daughter is 14, and she's the one that I also homeschool. Um, and I do live in the Metroplex areas. And one of the biggest impacts that we are currently facing, of course, are the drugs and the gangs and the
Yeah.
violence, all of which have been escalating tremendously. There are several people here, mothers who have lost their teenage sons. I'm not naive. I'm not stupid. My son may very well be entering into college. A lot of that is the drugs are counterfeit. And I just, it's terrifying. And I've always been, I am a victim, and not to get too personal here, but I'm a victim of abuse and violence, growing up. And I made it my personal mission to sit there, and especially for my daughter, so that she would never have to endure what I have endured. And right now, what is happening with these children, and in particularly over there in y'all's sector, there's a lot of uh, sexual child abusers
Yeah.
that have been caught coming over in that area. And you know what? They're going to be coming over here to my area. That's going to, my daughter trains in Krav Maga. I have my license to carry. Personal security for my family, that's a number one priority for myself, and for my family. But also, what I saw, and I also am a lover of history, and being a homeschooling mom, history was always a favorite subject of mine. The truth is that massive waves of illegal immigration brings communism.
Yep.
It is that is a fact. You look at what happened to Argentina. You look at what happened to Venezuela in particular. Argentina is basically socialist at this point, but you want to see how that happened? Massive waves of illegal immigration fast tracks it, and that's a historical fact. And that, in combination with everything else that we're seeing, um, my radars went off on several levels. And so this
Yeah.
is a direct, I want my children to be able to grow up in the same country that I grew up in, that I loved, and that gave me and my husband the opportunities um, that we had now. So that's my main thing. That's what I mean when I say, for several reasons, the sex trafficking here in DFW and in Houston. My husband and I have friends whose daughters
It's a lot there.
unfortunately were victims of sex trafficking. So you know, and of course that's always related to the border. So there's several dark, like you said, dark reasons. There you go. There's several of them, and it's real. The threats are real.
And you know, Sheena, it's great you bring up that those patterns of migration, or not patterns, but the element that migration plays in this. I mean, I've been talking about, you know, the barbarians at the gate, or whatever, the Germanic hordes, and what they, and how war and conflict, and you know, famine, etc. So many factors, but a lot of what led to the downfall of the Roman civilization. Uh, One of those was migration. You know, just the movement of people, and so we have in play here, you know, United Nations and all these NGOs and all these, you know, global, far-reaching entities, organizations, and groups and people like George Soros, and you know, now they've got in place their puppet Biden to do their bidding. You know, Biden doing the bidding. You know, but anyways, doing what they want him to do, and then we got the other aspect of the downfall of the Roman Empire. You know this as well, and any other, you know, civilized nation, is internal corruption.
Yep.
Internal corruption, and moral decay, moral depravity. And that's what we see, man. I mean, we've got right now this element within our country, and I know you've been involved with folks that deal with this. You know, we've got this hunger, this thirst, this evil desire for children, for children, and of course, you know, women and men as well. But look, we're supposed to be protecting the children. We're supposed to be, you know, bringing them up, raising them up in the ways of the Lord, teaching them, and in a civilized society, you know, we have a responsibility, a moral obligation. And people would argue with this, but to try to make sure that our society cares and nurtures and enriches the life of children. And instead, what we've got going on right now, they've been handed over to the pedophiles, to the sickles, to the perverts, to the slave traders. That's what's going on, Sheena. And there, you know, an aspect of this, what you're doing, you know, this advocacy, activism, you know, involvement. A lot of times, you know, folks don't know about this. You said you're a homeschooling parent, and so I know that. I hope you don't mind, but your husband has two jobs, and that's partly to keep you on the road as well. And thank God for those occasional donors. You know, that kind of, you know, I don't know how occasional it is for you. Sometimes it's like an oasis in the
Very
desert.
occasional. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
but
occasional. Yeah.
but the work you're doing is important because you're out here gathering, talking to the frontline people, so that whenever you go to Austin, and meet with, you know, the legislators and their staff, you can talk from firsthand experience, yes, but also gathering evidence and facts, testimony from people who live on the border, from people who are dealing with this day in and day out. Which, look, you've probably been more times to the border since you got involved, like you said last year, versus some of these people that have been in office for 10, 15, 20 years. You've probably been more down here. And so, you know, this is just a plug here. You know, at some point here, we'll be asking you to put out your information. I would just say, folks, look, maybe you can't get involved, time and, you know, obligations, but man, every dollar helps.
Yep.
Every $5, 10, 100, it helps. It really does. And so Sheena has I'm sure, a mechanism for that. But also the other thing, Sheena, is volunteerism, and people don't necessarily need to come down with you to the border, but they can help you. In what ways can they help you?
Yeah. So on my website, which is securetheborder.us, I have the information and these upcoming action items. You talk about the volunteers, that is huge. I had 2 or 3 rounds of amazing volunteers during the regular and special sessions that did show up there out there in Austin with me. We had collected thousands of letters. So I collected thousands of these letters along the border at these border awareness events. And then, like I said, hand delivered them with these packets of information to all these representatives and senators. And those volunteers were crucial because that is, our capital is huge. Okay. Texas is huge and our capital does not disappoint. But it's huge. And so I definitely wear my sneakers. But right now, upcoming, even though there is no session currently ongoing, these special committees are still meeting. So I was just in 2 weeks ago on April 4th and 5th. I'm sorry, 5th and 6th. I was there for the Senate Border Security Committee, and that committee was basically birthed out of necessity from all the OLS, Operation Lone Star expenditures, basically an oversight committee for the funding, because we've got $3 billion of Texas taxpayer dollars that's being spent on this. I was there. I handed out these packets of information, but what they can do now, there's other committees that are also going to be meeting next Tuesday. It's a public education committee. This is one I wish I could be there in person. I wish I could split myself and be in El Paso and at the Capitol and testify. That one is taking public testimony. But there's other ones that are coming up, particularly on May the 11th. There is the Water, Agriculture, and Rural Affairs Committee in the Senate that is also meeting. And I would love for, if you guys are able to come to Austin and come testify in person, let them hear from the people. So far, a lot of these places, a lot of these committees, they're only hearing from invited testimony. So those are your top brass of DPS, National Guard. And basically they're regurgitating these points, while I greatly respect them, to justify their massive amounts of more taxpayer dollars. Let them hear from the people. Let them hear what's really going on. So on May the 11th, if people are able to go meet with me in the morning, I will also even offer a Zoom if I have enough people reach out, a Zoom training, if that's what you want to call it, if they want to get more comfortable, if they've never testified before. But also, I've also created on my website, securetheborder.us, they can submit under the Take Action tab a written testimony. So if they're not able to go to Austin, send me your testimony. And by testimony, it could be whatever you want them, however you're personally being impacted, whether you live in the Metroplex areas or in the rural areas, send me that information. If you'd like to remain anonymous, which I understand for security reasons, some people want to tell their stories, but they're afraid. I get it. Yeah. I totally get it. Just let me know that. I will take out your personal name. Just I can put down just the general area that you live in. So this way they understand kind of what you're going through. I will print these out and hand them into every single applicable committee. I will be out there. I will be doing that. And yes, I do also have, of course, a little donate tab there with my Venmo and Give, Send, Go. But really, your testimonies and boots on the ground for those who are able to join me in Austin. Yeah. That's huge.
Man, and we praise the Lord for you what you're doing and trying to get everybody involved and trying to get the message out there. We understand as far as how people that work for DPS, National Guard, and even Border Patrol, how they're very limited on what they can say. And Frank and I, we get anonymous texts and phone calls and things, because they're citizens of the United States as well, and care about this country. But the reality is sometimes their mouths or their tongues are tied and they can't really say much. But when it comes from the citizen itself, and we're hopefully and praying that the outcome of all this would be, in my personal opinion anyway, that this governor of Texas would declare an invasion, because what they're doing right now, you've been down to Del Rio, the Abbott has built a fence over here, has put up a fence, which is my personal opinion is on the wrong side of the road. It doesn't it doesn't really do anything. And then sad to say, I love DPS, I love our National Guard people that are down here, but the reality is that they're most of the time they're all just keepers and opening the gates and shutting the gates for Border Patrol to come and pick up everybody. And in a lot of the cases that are being, the smuggling cases aren't being prosecuted. Now we do know that they have been arresting a lot of sex offenders, as you say, down here in the Del Rio sector area. Sex offense arrest has gone up over 2,400% since Biden has been in office, and then since the fiscal year, there's been over 1 million and some people. I think it's gone up to like 2 million since the fiscal year. Some stats are saying 3 million, but Texas is sad to say is leading in human trafficking and sex trafficking as well, and so the voices need to be heard. People need to get up there, and we hope to, we'll put your website, your link on our website page so that people can, go to it, get some more information, help you out, hopefully raise their voices as well.
So Sheena, you said May 11, right? That's when that committee's meeting?
Yeah, May the 11th is the Senate hearing for the Water, Agriculture, and Rural Affairs. They are taking public testimony. And if anything, that will hopefully be a trial run, if you will, for the bigger one, which I was told by both Senator Birdwell and Senator Hall's staff that they will be that the Border Security Committee will be having at least one, if not two, hearings that will be open to the public. And I was informed that one of them they may possibly have somewhere along the border.
Yeah.
And so that is, guys, I mean, look, the truth is that if we just stay silent and all they ever hear from is these top brass, they're never going to hear the true picture. Yeah. And we can say, well, yeah, they let us down. Yeah, I know, you're right. They do. But in all honesty, and I know this because I've seen it for myself, again, even like we said it earlier, the people here in Texas, our own fellow Texans, don't even realize how truly bad this is and how bad it's going to get. They really truly don't know. Yeah. Our senators and representatives, they're no different. I've seen it there in Austin. They really have no idea how bad it really is. And let them know, let them hear from Texans.
Yeah, they're very, very out of touch. Very out of touch.
Sheena, as you're saying that, it does kind of lead me on to this little, aspect here of you're basically giving an invitation to our fellow Texans, our fellow Americans, to take an action, take a step that was actually fought for, bled for, and people died for, which is to assemble and to freely speak, but to bring your grievances, your problems, your complaints, your concerns before your elected officials. That is a great American freedom, privilege, obligation that was bled and died for. And so, look, folks, there's people like Sheena and others that and it always seems, Manny, as a rabbi, member of the clergy, there's always that 5-10% of people that are doing all the work. Yeah. And you think to our founding, I mean, what's the numbers that I've heard? The number of people that actually out of the colonists that fought that Revolutionary War, and it's always
about 3%.
The 3%ers, right? So it's always been that small group of people that see the need, they see the fire, the house is on fire, let's form a bucket brigade. So let's do something about this. And look, let me tell you, we have an obligation as well to go to these meetings. And I told you, offline, I'd already said, count me in. We need to go, as border residents, as Border Patrol agents, and folks who are constantly putting the news out for people to see, trying to sound the alarm. Hey, I'll line up, put me in line there somewhere, and I'll gladly speak to these people. But anyways, look, folks, people need to step up. Our house is on fire, and all that our elected officials are doing, just think about it this way. They're the firemen. They're the ones that are supposed to be putting out the fire. But all they're asking for is, just more gas. They're just throwing more gas on it. They're throwing more money at the problem instead of going to the root cause, the root solutions. They made all this big deal about Kamala Harris was going to go and find out what are the root causes. I mean, We don't need to spend millions of dollars on that. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
You know, America's the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We enjoy freedoms no other nation has. You know, this is the land of opportunity. But and for that reason, for it being blessed and having been providentially set up, it is hated. It is hated by the enemy of God. It is hated by the enemy of our souls. So they're out to destroy it. And so we need to step up. We need to get involved. And shame on our elected officials for just throwing more gas on the fire, throwing more money at the problem. Governor Abbott needs to man up, step up, and declare an invasion. That is constitutionally allowed. That is something that our founding fathers and their God-ordained wisdom set up for times such as these. Yeah. So there needs to be a concerted, organized, movement of people that realize that, Sheena, that realize that, our government is failing us. And when our government is failing us, it is up to we, the people. And so, look, here's a woman, a mother, a wife who makes time out of her day, cuts into her family budget to go and do this for the rest of us. So we need to man up, step up, woman up, and get involved.
Citizen
get
up.
Involved. Citizen up.
Yeah.
Patriot up.
Patriot up, yeah.
Get involved. So I hope, Sheena, that you will have a lot of people that go to your website, that reach out to you, that contact you, and that support you, that help you, that donate to you. Yeah. Because that's what's needed to be done, Texas. Look, don't just rant and rage in front of your keyboard. Do something about it. You want to watch, you need to spread, you need to share the information. That's true. But take that additional step. And I know these are lean times, mean times, but every dollar helps, folks. So anyway, Sheena, let me get off my soapbox.
Well, man, those are awesome words. I'm going to give Frank the applause there. Yeah, amen. And so, but but it's amazing, because we tell people, look, if you have a hard time getting out there, it's understandable. There's a lot of people that can't. Gas prices. It is lean times. Sometimes people, just can't get out there. But you can get behind people because there are people like Sheena. There are people like us that are willing to fight the good fight. And this is a fight, folks. We're not going out there and advocating violence or anything like that. We want to make sure we get that. Clear.
There's different types of fighting.
Yeah. There's righteous indignation. And there's ways to fight the good fight. And right now, the way to fight the good fight is to let our voices be heard and to hold our elected officials' feet to the fire, including Governor Abbott. I'm not sitting here and going and saying, go vote Democrat or anything like that. What I'm saying is his feet need to be held to the fire because constitutionally he is allowed to declare an invasion, and that is exactly what is happening. And we have pictures of invasion in our minds of people coming through with weapons and tanks, things like that. No, that's not the only way an invasion happens, folks. This invasion, this illegal immigration invasion, illegal alien invasion is corrupting and affecting our way of life as United States citizens, as Americans.
Yeah, and man, I was going to say something, but give yourself some applause. Look, Sheena, we've been talking. We spend a lot of time talking with you and others. There needs to be a coalesced effort across the state here. We are at the front lines. We are being right now used, unfortunately, Texas is, as a doormat. And so Governor Abbott does need to declare an invasion, and people need to, we need to become, one, we the people, out of many one. So we need to be concerted in this. Look, we've allowed them to do what they're doing. And the reason I say we've allowed them to is because they represent us. And man, once they get into office, they want people to line up, kiss a ring. They turn around and they want you to kiss their butt as well. Heck no. They work for us. And we Texans demand that this border be sealed. And we've given the federal government the opportunity. They got boatloads of money. They got boatloads of people. They got the resources, and still they want to ask for more just to kick the can down the road. It is time for Governor Abbott to declare an invasion. And there are millions of Texans right now that are allowing and waiting for this process to play out. But look, patience is wearing thin. People are tired. We see the long-term ramifications of this uncontrolled, it might be assembly line, but it's still uncontrolled in the sense it's like the chief said, what was it, organized chaos or something like that. Anyways, so part of that process, folks, is teaming up with people like Sheena, and showing up and reaching out. Hey, Sheena, let me ask you something. How involved are you with the homeschooling crowd? I know that there's like groups and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I obviously I am a homeschooler. We do things a little bit different. I will say that I reached my threshold for math. Math has never been my strong suit. So about 2 years ago, we switched to an online program. So now I do a lot more of just the guiding and extension of things. It's an online Christian program, but I mean, we've and we're on the road a lot. So, but there is a huge, actually, especially here in the DFW area, a lot of my friends are also fellow homeschoolers, and there's uh, a huge population here, particularly in the DFW area,
So,
for homeschoolers. And I think it has grown, especially with COVID and everything else.
so the reason I'm asking you this, Sheena, people are saying, the heck, one moment Frank's raging about the border, and then he goes to homeschooling. Well, look, this is the way we marry this up here. This is what I'm thinking. Look, folks say, and I saw a comment here. I'm just, I'm an older woman. What can I possibly do? This is what you can do. Sheena, as we've seen these buses rolling up and taking people away from here, and we've seen them rolling up and illegal aliens loading up into these Border Patrol vehicles, getting processed, getting turned over to NGOs, or getting released at our local convenience store here. This is happening up and down the border. So what I would love to do, and maybe this is, just call it a homework assignment here. I've got this little pamphlet. This is my push card. But I've talked to people, where are these women's groups, and, where are these activism groups? Where are they at with this idea in mind, that as these illegal aliens are coming in, they're getting free phones, they're getting money, travel, they're getting very thorough directions on how to answer the asylum questions. They're getting coached on how to set themselves up for the best chance of basically lying to a certain extent to asylum investigators and the judges, etc. I've been waiting for folks to step up, and so maybe this is it. Here's this homework assignment. Gather the facts about what makes America great. What makes America great? What is our system of our civic system here? How does America operate? What is the Constitution? What are our founding documents? Get all those links. Get maybe just a 1 or 2 sentence description on them. And what I want to do, Sheena, is put them on a handout size, like my push card here, with a brief description in Spanish, translated to Spanish, because it's obvious our government's going to let them in. It's obvious that Governor Abbott is dragging his feet to where we're going to have to push him to the water and shove his head in there to declare an invasion. But in the meantime, all these people are coming in, and we are not countering what the left is doing. We need to counter the left. And so this is an opportunity, as they're getting on board. Here you go, here you go, here you go. Get some volunteers to walk around and hand these out with this information about what makes America great. Why are we great? What is their responsibility? I hate to kind of put it that way, but look, this is the way we citizens operate here in this country. You've been allowed to come in by this administration. And so what is your role now here? You're already breaking the law. Well, don't add fuel to the fire. Don't exacerbate the situation here. Go violate more of our laws since you're here. Yeah. But we need to counter. You get where I'm going with that, right?
And I love that idea. And, our friend Anthony, our mutual friend Anthony, has also been talking about something similar.
Oh, great.
Especially with, the Venezuelans and the Cubans. Yeah, the Venezuelans and the Cubans that are familiar and they do know what communism looks like. Yes. That would be a prime target. But I also want to say something else. There's a lot of a lot that people can do. Number one, not just show up there to Austin with me, if you're able to, on April the 11th, like I said, on May the 11th, and also May the 11th, and also the upcoming one. They can follow me on social media under Sheena Rodriguez on Facebook. I'm on Getter. And on Twitter. All those links are also on on the website, securetheborder.us. And if they go under there and they go under the legislative priorities, they'll see the legislative priorities, but they'll also be able to see under the Take Action tabs things that they can do on the city, county, and state level. My main focus has always been right here in the state of Texas. There's a lot of things that they can do right there at home. So first of all, send me your testimony. Like I said, right there under the Take Action tab, it's the very first thing up there. You can send me the testimony if you're not able to make it out there to Austin. If you are, and they want to join a Zoom meeting, if they're, like I said, if I had enough people reaching out, I'm more than happy to have a little training session and get people comfortable. There'll be plenty of opportunities, and if they follow me on social media and sign up for the emails, they'll get all that information of the up-to-date action items. But also on the city, county, and on the city and county levels, the Denton right up here in my area, Denton City Council just voted and passed measures so that undocumented citizens, illegal aliens, could run for city council and city positions. There was not one testimony in opposition. That is coming to a city near you. If it passed here in Denton, that is also one of the GOP areas. The counties that the local GOP there, Denton County, they actually did censure Abbott. So these people are engaged and involved, but it flew under the radar. You can go to your city councils, go to your school boards, start asking the hard questions. How are they going to be handling? Are any of our teachers being sent to the border for these migrant camps? What impact? How much is that costing us? These unaccompanied minors right here in Tarrant County. How much is that costing? The county as our taxes are going up, right? As our property taxes are going up, the hospitals, the impact. You can go to your city councils, go to your commissioners' hearings, ask these hard questions, and it's going to throw them for a loop. What is the plan? What is Tarrant County's plan on how to handle this massive influx of illegal aliens coming into our county? How much is that going to cost us? Is there any measures in place to stop this? From happening to our county? Guys, we need to get back down to the basics. All of that information is on the website under the Take Action tab. And if there are volunteers around Texas that are saying, you know what, I can't go to Austin, I can't go to the border, I'll submit my testimony to you so you guys can have it. I'll make the phone calls, I'll send the emails. But you know what, I will also start championing right here in Seguin, Texas. And in Seguin, Texas, I'm going to do all I can to address this because it is impacting. And I'm going to go to the city councils. I'm going to go to and you know what? Send me a message. Tell me that that's what you're able and willing to do. I will drive down there. Wow. I will drive down there. I will meet with you and I will help champion the way. And then you can start taking over in your city, in your county, and start leading those efforts. It's going to be, it's a multifaceted problem. It's going to take multifaceted solutions.
And so somebody, I'm reading my comments here and, listening as you're saying this. Look, folks, we're not on here, but wait, there's more, for an addition, kind of stuff. We're not here as hucksters, folks. We are giving our own time and effort and our pensions and our limited, funds, but we're doing what we can. And so, look, somebody here said, keep in mind what happened to BLM. That's not what we're about, folks. I mean, my God.
How do you compare to BLM?
Look, my gosh. The Spirit of God gives you discernment, for God's sake, man. I mean, we are here trying to fight in our own way, short of shedding blood, trying to stop this train. We're jumping out in front of this train. And can one person stop a train? No. But perhaps you get, a few hundred and eventually the bodies pile up and it's going to come to a stop somewhere or another. Engineer's going to pull the brakes or something. But look, I'm just using some visual stuff here. But it's these efforts, folks, what I'm talking about. I got 7,000 of these, 7,000. I think it was for like about $300. The shipping actually costs more than that. Yeah. But I waited till God moved in people's hearts to provide the means for that. And look, we're not asking here for, we're not promising you gold dust, from heaven or gold.
Or all your dreams will come
It's
true.
hard work.
It's hard work, and those are just basic economics. I just heard Sheena say she will go to Seguin, Texas. I know it. She's going to El Paso. She's going to different parts of the state here, folks, to train you, to educate you, to arm you, to be able to put up a fight for you, your family, your children, your neighbors, your community, your state, your nation. And I just get a little bit upset that people, it's so easy to criticize and just kick back. And it's kind of like reminds me of that movie. I love seeing that. And I just referred it there, A Few Good Men, Colonel Jessup, where he says, how dare you question the way that I provide you freedom? You're sleeping in the peace and comfort, security that I offer you. And how dare you question it? Look, this is what we're doing, folks. We're not deep pockets here. We are grassroots. We are grass troops. Grass troops. And we need fighters to line up. We need fighters to step up and get in the gap, stand in that gap. And that's all this is. So if somebody...
none of us are going home to a mansion after this,
what?
right? Yeah.
No, not at all. And you know what? To that comment, I'm gonna say this. During the regular session, I was the only one that was sitting in on the very first hearing about a bill that would protect women's sports. And I remember that time coming back home, and my heart was so heavy because I was surrounded by a group of the opposition, to put it nicely. And I go home, and it's about a 3.5 hour drive from Austin back here to my area. And I go home and I get on Facebook, and I see comments of people saying, oh, our representatives, they let us down, the bill didn't pass and everything else. And I quickly got on it and I said, well, where were you? Where were you? You're going to blame our representatives, but I will tell you, because I've seen it, the only ones that are showing up in Austin are the opposition. Yeah. The only voices that our senators and our representatives are hearing are those that are not for our values. And unless you are there, unless you even pick up the phone, if you can spend 5 minutes a day on social media complaining that our representatives will never see, that our senators will never see, and you think that that's doing something, instead use it to pick up the phone. Instead, use it to send a testimony. Yes. Instead, use it to send an email. Use one day to go out there to Austin and let your voices be heard. Yes. And fight like your children's futures depend on it, because whether or not you want to admit it, it absolutely does. Yeah, it does. And so they are only going to listen to the loudest person in the room. That's the truth. And if all our representatives ever see and hear is those that are in favor of these things that are detrimental to our futures, then that's what they're going to go with, because that's the only voice that's in the room. So I'm giving you guys options, and thank you guys for all that you do. Frank, you're out there on the front lines, and you are fighting out there. You don't have to do this. You're retired. You guys both are like, you guys are doing this because you care, because you guys are servants. And thank you not only for your service prior to what you guys are doing now, but you know what? Thank you for doing it for my family and for my children and for our future. You guys being agents and being out there on the front line for as long as you guys were. Thank you. And thank you for still fighting. Thank you for putting on those hats every single day and doing what you guys do. So I'm thankful and blessed to be in this fight with you guys. So thank you.
So someday,
thank you.
God bless you, Sheena. Someday, folks, as has happened many times, man, I imagine our founding fathers, those that survived, I imagine the Texan warriors, those that survived, reflected about, as the years went by after we gained our independence, they sat to reflected on what it took, the cost they paid, the blood they shed, the treasure and time and toil that they gave up.
And they did shed blood,
all worth it, folks. It was worth it. And so now we have an obligation to their memory and to our lives and our children's future, folks. We have an obligation to do something. And look, I've had talks with good friends. we're going this route because this is what America calls for. You know, I mean, there's places in the world where right now, man, there's fighting going on, revolution going on, you know, where government has broken down, chaos has erupted, you know, and they're on the line, they're in the thin edge, on the edge of anarchy. And so here in America, this is the way that our founding fathers, you know, set it up. And so what we're doing here is what was allowed for us to do when they wrote our magnificent Constitution. And they left it for us as a template, as a guide, in addition to the Word of God. And the Word of God calls as much for civic involvement as our Constitution, as our, you know, body of work, the Federalist Papers, et cetera, et cetera. It calls for this kind of involvement, folks,
Right.
because the alternative down the road is, and the reason we have the Second Amendment is for us to take on tyranny. For us to take on tyranny. And as former warriors, as former, you know, bearers of the sword, we know the cost of that. We know what not just the cost on life and on body and on limb, but the emotional, mental, psychological cost of that as well, the societal cost of that. And so we are trying our best to avoid that train wreck, but people need to get involved. And Sheena, I'm so grateful for what you're doing, creating the awareness that you're creating, you know, and being out there as a focal point, you know, and I hear you. I hear you. When you talk about having been surrounded by the opposition, those were probably the nice ones, because there are people that have threatened us, that have threatened our very lives, folks. And so we continue. We continue because we know that, you know, freedom is not free.
Yeah.
And freedom will cost in some way or another. And count it a blessing. Be grateful if it's just time and effort and a penny or two, a dollar or two here and there. Just be blessed for that, because there are much higher costs that can be paid. And so anyways, you know, I just wanted to just expound on that this morning, folks. And I wanted to just lay this burden in my heart, put it out there, put it out there. You know, I've said it before, I'll be a point man. I'll take that first bullet. But the point man, and it's a military term, he's the first guy when they go out on patrol. And they go out on patrol to scout, they go out on patrol to defend, to detect, you know, where people are breaking in, you know, to detect weaknesses in the line. But that point man is never out there alone. He's always a part of the team. So man up, step up, be a part of the team.
Amen. I mean, you know, and thank you, Sheena, so much for the fight that you're fighting. You know, to echo what Frank was saying, you know, I joined the military when I was 17 years old. 52 now. I just turned 52.
Happy birthday, bro.
Hey, praise the Lord. Thank you so
Happy
much.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, but I've been defending our nation since I was 17 years old, since I was a teenager. You know, my father was a Vietnam veteran. Both of my brothers, military veterans, you know, law enforcement family. I grew up as a patriot to defend this country, you know, and my you know, of course, you know, my ancestors on my dad's side came from Mexico, my mother's side came from Spain and Portugal and whatnot, but we grew up with instilled in us to defend this country, to stand up for this country. We homeschooled our children as well, more my wife, you know, so I understand the math thing, you know, as well. When my kids brought me math equations at, you know, the 6th grade, I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, but we instilled in them, you know, godly principles, patriotic principles to love and defend our country and to stand up for what is right. You know, the Bible tells us that we are to be a voice for those who have none, you know, as believers. And there's a lot of people who can't say anything. Right now, a lot of them are wearing uniforms and they can't say anything. They want to defend this country, but the fight is coming from within now, you know. And, you know, we look at, I was reminded as we've been talking that, you know, when China built the Great Wall of China to keep defenders out, you know, after the Great Wall of China was built, it was still invaded hundreds of times because of compromise, you know, and that's what's happening in this nation. There's compromise, and all we have to do is enforce our laws. Quit throwing money at the problem. The laws that we have in place will indeed enforce illegal immigration. Will indeed enforce immigration, as well as even keep people on the other side where of the law, on the right side of the law. Anyway, with all that being said, Sheena, we want to thank you so much for being a part of our program this morning. We're going to put your website up on our website so they can go check you out and see what your mission is, what you're doing. Hopefully, get involved as well. And we just want to thank you so much. You can contact her at securetheborder.us. Sheena Rodriguez. You can contact her on Facebook as well. And again, we're going to put the link up of it on our website. So go visit our website at tacoboutitlive.com. Get involved, folks. It doesn't take much to get behind people who are willing to fight, but get behind them. Prayer, yes.
Yes, amen.
Donations help very, very much. I don't think anybody here on this program this morning is going to take those donations and go buy a fancy car and a big
Buy a Learjet.
Learjet like some other people that we've seen. Anyway. But this is folks. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and Sheena Rodriguez, thank you so much for joining us. You're always in our
y'all.
prayers.
Thank you so much.
Do you have anything you want to say there before we go?
Just real quick, I guess in closing, I obviously, like I said, I'm doing what I'm doing for my children. And, people think that what happened in Venezuela and other countries can't happen here in the U.S. They are horribly mistaken.
Yep.
And even if we are not successful in stopping this invasion, I can at least rest knowing that and look my children in the face and know that they know without a shadow of a doubt that their mother and their father has done absolutely everything humanly possible to stand up for them. So that's my comfort. So thank you guys so much for everything. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Sheena.
God bless our audience.
All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us and Talk About It Live this morning with Sheena Rodriguez. It's been an amazing program. We truly appreciate everything that she does. But, folks, it's important for you to get involved as well. You can join us on our website as well, tacoboutitlive.com. You can also get online and support Frank as well, as he's running for Congress at frank4cd23.com as well. And so, Frank, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you running for office, taking on this mantle as well, because it's a good fight, brother. It's a good fight. And folks, if you want to continue to support us, again, go to our website as well, and pray for us. We always covet prayers. But before we go, Frank, you got any closing words?
No, man. Look, hey, folks, look. Certainly you take the passion, frustration as well, but more than anything, it's an exhortation. This is an exhortation. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. He's given us the armor. He's given us His word. He's given us weapons for our left and for our right, spiritual weapons to take on the dark forces that are arrayed against us. And so step into what you are and what God intends for you to be, what Christ bled for on that cross. It was not in vain, and it was not for you to not use that. And so I'm just talking to the children of light. Be bold, be unafraid, be courageous, but be active, because that's what God demands of us.
Amen. Good words, Frank. And again, we're still in the Passover season. This is day 5 of Passover. So Hag Pesach Sameach, and happy Passover to those who are celebrating the life that we have been given in Messiah Yeshua. As He has given us life and life eternal. He gave us life for us, for you and me, so that we could enter into eternity. If you haven't made that decision to make Yeshua the Savior of your life, do that today. Make today the day of your salvation. And with that being said, we hope God willing, we'll be able to join you next week, Taco Tuesday, 8 a.m. here on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and some other channels we're trying to get onto as well. We want to say God bless you, God bless America, and God bless Texas.